Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Friday How to Take Over the World. My name's Mark. I'm hosting you for today, and quite honestly, I'm wrecked. We've had a hell of a week, very, very busy. I was chatting to Anay yesterday, and we were just saying how much is on the go and how many balls are in the air. And with this kind of last run in for the last quarter of the year, there's a lot up in the air, and hopefully we finish strong. So let's jump straight into our How to Take Over the World presentation. Video to get you going this morning. We've shared the Steve Jobs one about 2 weeks back. If you go and Google the University of Texas 2014 commencement address, delivered by Admiral William H. McRaven. He was the leader of one of the Navy SEAL teams all the way back in 2014. And I mean, basically, he talks about how little steps and little actions can change the world. But there's a very cool thing you might have seen it on a couple of social posts or whatever, but he says like one of the simplest tasks to ways to change your life is to actually get up in the morning and make your bed. And the logic behind it is that if you have a bad day, at least you come home to a made bed. If you have a good day, you come back to you've achieved something from the word go, and it helps to build momentum. So if you go and find that speech, it's very cool. It's quite inspirational, and it's quite a lot of fun for it out of it. So go and have a look. It's about 15-16 minutes, but you will enjoy it if you're looking for a little bit of motivation this Friday. Just a reminder of our purpose. So we focus on access to finance and access to markets. And this gives us the opportunity to work with entrepreneurial businesses, particularly those that are doing some form of social impact, everything from capital raising, enterprise and supplier development initiatives, business development strategies, and BBE is built into that. What are the things that we're working on at the moment? So as some of you know, we will be at the LeaderX and Money Summit this September on the 15th. We are going to be hosting an event there. The event will be in the evening. So we've got a stand during the day and then a physical event in the evening. And the event in the evening is looking at the relationship between health and wealth. Basically, if you don't invest in your own health, the cost that will hit you down the line, and kind of prioritizing yourself. It's not just about investments in the stock market or savings or tax or whatever it is. It's about actually looking for yourself. You should be able to go and register online at no charge if you want to get access to the kind of broader LeaderX Money Summit event using Decusatio as the access code or voucher code. So if you are keen to attend and want free entry, you should be able to register using that code. I know they were trying to set it up. I don't know where it was set up last night or will be set up this morning. What are we working on this week? So been doing quite a lot of work with the team from BusyMed. BusyMed, as you know, are a health tech business that we've been working on the communication strategy with. They're targeting to have 300 pharmacies on their system by the end of the year. So big shout out to Anay. She's done a lot of work in terms of building that relationship and managing it. But effectively, they've got two goals. So keep your eyes and ears open. The first one is obviously looking for pharmacies to onboard to their system. So basically what it allows you to do is go and sit at home and be able to do an online pharmacy consultation and then have your medication delivered to you within 60 minutes. And then from the consumer perspective, you can obviously interact with your local pharmacies. So they want people to download the app. So please encourage people to download it and try it out. More feedback and more that they can show as evidence of success, the more it becomes a habit in communities. So look out for opportunities for BusyMed. Lots of work on the writing front. I was saying to Anay last night, I don't think I can write another thing. I got a brief to write something and I just said, I just have nothing left in me. We've done stuff for ABSA and FD Center and CFO Center. So it's everything from speeches, video scripts, and online and some other press releases. So we will recharge and carry on doing that content, but it's definitely kept us busy this week. Cool story here. So for those of you who don't know, we have a relationship with Blossom Care Solutions, which is a micro franchise model across the country. They currently have 6 sites in operation, and these sites receive orders from businesses or donations to effectively manufacture sanitary pads that are then donated to schools, clinics, etc. So it's a social entrepreneurship project. And this week we received three orders to fund sanitary products for 350 young women for 12 months. And I mean, it has kind of multiple impacts from our perspective. The first one being that obviously the health element, access to sanitary products, is obviously a major issue for young women inside of schools and clinics, and it means that they end up missing out from the education system perspective. But on top of that, by getting these orders, the micro franchises become sustainable and can continue to fund their development. So let's say 350 young women will have access to products for the next 12 months. So that's very cool. A lot of work on the Solana energy side. So Nelly had her first trip to the beach. It wasn't the prettiest beach, it was the Richards Bay beaches. But Nelly and Tracy were in KZN this week. They were recruiting electricians, engineers, and administrators, and actually got a message at about 12 o'clock last night from Ahmed just to say a big thank you to Tracy and Nelly. When the Solana team landed back in Joburg, they were all commenting that the quality of work was incredible. So that's fabulous. And we are also at the same time helping them build a website and PR copy, and Cameron and Anae have been working on that. And I think Anae has handed most of that over to Cam. So that is very cool and well done on what we're doing there. It is very rewarding to be able to do high quality work, and they become our advocates for future work. This was Tyron and Ken presenting at the Sharks Business Centre. So SME.tax and ourselves have a relationship with Sharks Rugby Business Centre, where we're presenting on different topics. This week they were looking at funding and incentives, and we do this once a month, as well as supporting our Adopt an SME program. Vuyo and the Rosebank tax franchise are officially in business. We got our first client signed up to that, and it's a little agribusiness that'll be working on it. Just a reminder, if any of you are unaware of the costings that are associated with SME.tax offering, for the small businesses turnover under R1 million, it's 1,750 a month. 1 million to 3 million is 3,900. It basically gets you access to an accountant doing your invoicing. They will do things like your SARS returns, etc., for small businesses. There's a breakdown of it you can go and find on the website. But if any of you are interested, you can either pop me a line or any of the SME.tax guys. But please, I mean, this is like a really nice, we really think that there's something really tangible about building out this tax franchise and advisory model. So please give us a shout if any of you have small businesses in your network who are keen to work with us. Em has been doing a lot of the work on the social side, particularly with Women's Month at the moment. And, I think that anybody who's followed our social media stuff in the last couple of months will attest to the fact that it looks really slick, and it is just, it's something that you can be proud of and you can put in front of clients. And I think that it really does put our best foot forward. So she has both these Women's Month social cards, but also the Women in Business podcast that she has been running. Big lesson for the week: it takes years to become an overnight success. And I kind of got 3 points that I want to maybe touch on there. So the first one being this BusyMed story. I actually met Mfati, who was the CEO there, back in 2018, and he was doing pitching at Seed Stars, and they had no money. It was just an idea that they were trying to get going. And, kind of fast forward 5 years later, and they've got multiple rounds of investment that's been raised. They're targeting 300 of these pharmacies, and suddenly it is a legitimate business. Second example that I'll use, and I mean, for those who have kind of been around with us for a bit, Ken and Tyron, I mean, we've been working with them for better part of 4 years now, and in fact, pre-COVID. And we have suddenly had the opportunity to, suddenly it's become a tangible business, and kind of we have a genuine commercial relationship that we both benefit from. So that's cool. And then just a third one, just because I thought it was quite fun. Sam's not with us anymore, but interestingly, one of the orders that came through this week was something Sam had started all the way back in September of last year, and suddenly the order randomly came through during the week. So that is very cool, and I was very pleased to see that. It's for any of you that ever get involved in sales, you'll find that it does take a time for it to come through. What are we working on or watching this week? Interesting things here. South African Reserve Bank has told banks that cryptocurrencies are here to stay and they must get with the program. So they are encouraging banks to focus on getting their legislation and the systems in place to accommodate for cryptocurrencies. So have a look at that. Looking at profitability. So, obviously state of South African economy is topical for everybody. Profits are returning quite nicely. So Tungela, Blue Label, Caxton, Grindrod, Kiro, Absa, and Nedbank have all reported their financial results this week, and they are all looking good. So very pleased about that. Fuel price expected to drop over 2 Rand a litre next month, a little bit depending on the currency, but it could be as much as 2 Rand 60. And then we just touched on this last week, but I just thought that I would bring it in again. Central Energy Fund is committing R1 billion to the Renogen project in Virginia, which just speaks a little bit to the topic of kind of the energy shift in South Africa. I'm going to stop for a moment. I'm going to hand over to Anay shortly, but are there any other comments or things that I might have missed from the team?
Mark, if you've missed anything, we also need to have a live in between all of that. So
yeah, so and I know we might say it a little bit tongue in cheek, but it was something we were chatting about last night. Is there's a lot on the go at the moment. A lot of you guys are still relatively young. You're going to find that the next kind of 3 to 4 months, if we look at the pipeline and things coming through, is going to be quite manic. It's as you get older, you kind of see the world goes through these cycles, and you have budgeting in the February and March period of time, and then you have this little lull up until June, July, and then suddenly everybody wants to squeeze everything in before mid-November. And it is important that you guys look after yourselves. You don't exist to serve work. Work is part and parcel of what we do to earn a living, and obviously if you find it fulfilling, that's great, but it isn't about kind of selling your life to looking after, to just working the whole time. You guys do need to look after your health, and you do need to look after your professional development, and obviously you can communicate with any of us if you want to work out or if you're feeling overwhelmed. But you do need to plan your days because there is a lot on the go at the moment. I'm going to stop for a moment, and I'm going to hand over to Anay, who is going to run the next part of the session here. Go for it, Anay.
What I present today, and now my present button is not working properly, so just give my PC 2 minutes to catch up with this. So last week, actually 2 weeks ago now, I've been very fortunate to go and hike Fish River Canyon, and this morning I thought it would be fun to just share some from and my experience a little bit, and also just some pictures of the team so that you can see where I was at, and maybe it inspires someone to do the same someday as well. I've definitely been I was very grateful that I was mentally prepared, because I was physically 100% underprepared. People tell you that the Fish River Canyon is a flat walk. I can tell you that it was definitely not. We've been boulder hopping day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. We've met very cool people on the way. It was a Namibia team of 7 people we ended up together with. And one of the guys on their team has hiked it now 4 times. And he said that this time was definitely the harshest, because the river has been the fullest it's ever been, which is great because you have access to fresh water the whole time. But that also means that the walking conditions is a little bit harsher, because where you used to walk in a dry riverbed, you now kind of have to climb over rocks and walk on softer sand. that makes it a little bit more challenging, but definitely still worth it. So for those of you who don't know, the Fish River Canyon in Namibia is the largest in Africa, and you know it when you're there. The hike is about 90 kilometers long, but if you take all the shortcuts, it works out to about 75 kilometers. It starts at the view site at Hobas and finishes at the Ice Resort. We are very fortunate there's any shortcuts, so we took the 75-kilometer route, but our claim to fame is that we could finish the whole 90 kilometers of the Fish River Canyon. That's also a lesson in life. I always tell people how you got to the end if they don't ask. Just tell them that you've finished the route. So some of the things that has really stood out for me, this is just the magnitude of the canyon. I've borrowed this photo from someone else. This is not my photo, but this is just so that you can see kind of where we started. Then we walk all the way around. And unfortunately, it's a little bit longer than what you can see here. But where the arrow ends out is basically where you walk out of the canyon into the Ice Resort. So one of the first, probably the most important things is that everything you need, you carry. So I think it would actually be quite interesting if you put into the chat just something that you think you won't be able to live without. If you go on a hiking trip, what do you think is the most important thing you have to take along? On our trip, we actually found that this is me and my sister. She joined me on the hike. On our trip, we found that one of the most important things that we could pack was pieces of blitz to start a fire. You won't believe it, but we were the only ones in our team that packed that. So that was actually quite cool because that means that you don't need to carry your trash with you the whole time. You have the ability to burn your trash and then have it be a little bit lighter and a lot less gross to carry out of the canyon with you. There's a leave no trace policy. Obviously, there's not people that cleans up behind you. So, and there's no stuff like dustbins or anything like that. So anything and everything that you take into the canyon, you have to carry out, which is quite astonishing. When we got back to the canyon, to Ice Resort on the last day, we met the next group that was going down the following day. And two of the guys, the one guy's bag weighed about 25 kilograms and the other guy's bag weighed about 30 kilograms. And this Namibia group that we hiked with was like big worms. Like you could see, they have the ability to carry weight on their back. And even their bags, I think, was about like 17, 18 kilograms. You need to keep your bag as light as possible. And I think that was such a nice life lesson for me as well, that first of all, we get to choose what we put in our backpack to carry with us. But the more stuff we put into it, the heavier we carry. So if you can lighten your load or even help someone else lighten their load, the journey is so much more enjoyable for everyone else. Life is all about choices. You make your bed, sleep in it. You don't need to take a tent on this hike. There are people that actually opt for sleeping under the stars. That is great. I'm not a fan of creepy crawlies. On the second night, we actually got a little field mouse that climbed into one of the ladies' bags. So for that reason, we only opted to take the fly sheet off of our tent so that we could still engage with the stars and see the stars at night. But yeah, I'm not that close to nature. So I definitely opted to still sleep in the tent while seeing the stars. But this was one of the ladies that hiked with us that was very brave to sleep outside in the evenings. Make sure you laugh enough, even if it's just for the camera. So me and my sister can be quite silly together. I was very grateful to have her on this hike. As I said, I was definitely not physically prepared for this. In my mind, I listened to the people who said, it's a flat walk, it will be okay. And it was definitely okay. And it was so worth it. But people should not underestimate how tough it is as well. And surrounding yourself with people that makes the journey more fun definitely makes it easier as well. So whatever you do in life, make sure you laugh enough and you do it with people that can laugh with you. Elaborating on that point a little bit. Surround yourself with people that can help you lift your head and smile. On action to us is we've underestimated the amount of kilometers that we've covered on the first day. And so we thought that we were closer to our destination on the second day. Our group kind of informed us that there was only 3.5 to 6 Ks that we had to hike on. In fact, we had to hike 12.5 Ks. And if you get your mind on a certain distance, or you kind of prepare yourself for something, and then when you get to the end of that, you have to do exactly that amount still for the day, it can be quite like demoralizing. So when you feel down in the dumps, having people around you that can help you get up and get going is really, really, really advantageous. With all of that, reflection is key. So what is the purpose if you don't learn anything? I think that when you spend 5 days out in nature with nothing but you and your thoughts and your backpack on your back, you really have the opportunity to reflect on life and where you're going. It's a conscious choice and decision to do that. So I would really encourage anyone like this to take a pen and paper with you, or just use the notes on your phone, because the thoughts that you have on a trip like that is really, I don't want to say out of this world, but it's not that you don't have the same kind of thinking that you have when you're in the hustle and bustle of things. So really take the time to also account for those thoughts and reflect on them, not just when you're back, because where life gets so the revelations that we've had when we are on these adventures. Look, you'll find cool things in the most unexpected places. So the Fish River Canyon, the most beautiful thing in the Fish River Canyon is the Geological Dive. Fortunately, the pictures just doesn't capture it, but this was one of the coolest rocks we found. Was a pile of rocks. There was just this one rock, and if you look at it closely, you'll see that it kind of looks like an old person's false teeth that had at some stage. So there was the coolest things. There was rocks with like dots on them, and rocks with holes in them in the most unexpected places. There was rocks that looked like fish swimming and only the fin was sticking out. So but that could also just be rocks if you didn't really look for the potential in them. So look for potential because you'll find cool things in the most unexpected places. Just some of the quotes that stood out for me, and that I think relates very, very well with this journey is Thomas Jefferson said, "There is no habit you will value so much as that of walking far without fatigue." And I think that is really a skill that all of us could be so much better for our mental health, for our physical health, for people in general. Burnout. So walking far is not just about walking fast or carrying heavy when you do that, but to actually find that balance as to what you should do to feel your body and fill your mind, and what is the gear that you have to take with you to ensure that you can walk for or the furthest amount as possible without getting fatigued very quickly. There was nowhere to go but everywhere. I think that is something that's really cool, especially with Nellie's adventure this week. I actually told her that the world is her oyster. So if your mindset is that there's nowhere to go, I think you should literally just look up, because you can exit the door, you can stand up from where you're sitting, and the world is your oyster. You actually have everywhere to go and everything to accomplish. And then the longest journey begins with just one single step. If you tell people that you're going to carry 90 kilometers in 5 days, they're like, that's quite far. If the terrain is also quite challenging, it is definitely not a journey that can be covered in one day. Although, fun fact, there is a trail running series where they do cover the canyon in one day, and that is absolutely crazy. I see that people, and I have the utmost respect for them. But the longest journey And that was a summary of my 5 days in the Fish River Canyon. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. One of the questions I get most often now that I've completed it is, will I do it again? And on day 2, that was the harshest day, I've actually decided that I will be able to do it again. Because there's people in my life that I think would make the journey so much more worthwhile. So yes, that is me in a nutshell. Thank you so much for listening to my TED Talk.
Thanks, Renee. It's very cool. It's always nice to see, like, picking up lessons outside of our, day-to-day work. It's cool to get a bit of context on life. I'm going to jump straight into my presentation quickly. So my presentation is entitled FreakANomics. And basically, I don't know how whether any of you know, but there's a thing called FreakANomics. It was launched about 20 odd years ago, and it was a couple of economists, and they started running a series of books and turned into podcasts and websites. But basically it has these different kind of verticals to it. There's FreakANomics Radio, No Stupid Questions, people I mostly admire, and FreakANomics MD. So there's a lot of these in the podcast format. And they ask some of these questions. I just picked some random ones. What's the future of college, and does it have room for men? Should you give kids your allowance or make them get a job? Why does the richest country in the world have so many poor kids? And what's so bad about nepotism? So if you are interested in those things, and it's always nice things to be able to build into content, go and have a look at it. But I thought I would just I picked a couple of things that I had seen in the last couple of weeks, and I'm just going to run through them very, very quickly, just to get the brains thinking a little bit. So anybody who knows Thungela, it was a coal company that was spun out of Anglo American recently, about a year ago. And you were basically given each share at 20 Rand a share. This week it declared a dividend of 60 Rand per share for every shareholder, and it currently trades at 328 Rand a share. In other words, if you bought 2,000 Rands worth of shares a year ago, or were given 2,000 Rands worth of shares a year ago, it's now worth 32,800 Rand. So that's quite a cool thing to have a look at. Interesting fact I saw this week: Japan's encouraging young people to drink more alcohol to help boost its economy. They've been failing to collect on their sin taxes things, so they're running a competition at the moment to work out how they can encourage people to drink more alcohol. There's quite a lot of debate about it, but it is something that's quite interesting. Uber Eats, year in review for South Africa, saw some of the most popular items. 2,700 kgs of washing powder was purchased, 40,000 bags of ice. White roses were the most ordered flower online. Single largest order was 15,000 Rand for 700 items, and Coca-Cola was the most popular grocery item with 16,000 orders on the system. So that makes you think a little bit. Just a fun thing out of Debt Busters this week. It looks at which are the, so they're looking at people that are under debt review, who owes the most debt. So basically, if you look at the top line, it very much says that kind of the average debt is a percentage of net income. So in other words, how much you spend on debt each month is pretty flat. But what's interesting is this takes the overall debt to annual net income. And if you look here, the people earning over 20,000 Rand a month, or on average, and obviously these are those that are under debt review, they owe 147%. So in other words, for every Rand that they're earning, they're spending 1 Rand 47 servicing debt. So that gives you some food for thought. Pepper prices in South Africa are up 105%. The kilo of peppers now cost more than 20 Rand after increasing by 15% just a week ago, 2 weeks back. Largely cold weather's played a part there. And they are, however, getting bigger, given that they're getting picked later than usual. Fun fact about Mozambique: it exports 75% of its electricity, but only 34% of its population has access to electricity. So obviously there's an interesting dynamic that is playing out there. You'll probably see quite a lot of this marketing stuff this week, saying Telkom launches a fast funding solution for small businesses. I've seen a couple of headlines about it, and it says you can get up to 5 million in funding. What they forget to mention is that everybody can do this. It's actually available via the Lululane platform that we use it. I think the guys from SME.tax use it, but it is available and you can make some revenue out of it. We've done a couple of loans through it. So that's just something fun. We don't always believe the headline that you see. Blueberry industry in South Africa is the fastest growing horticultural industry. And first batch of blueberries ever exported was back in 1992, and it was valued at 9,780 rand. So that was total value of the batch. It went to Zambia. By 2001, they were exporting 5 million rand a year of blueberries. And in the past year, blueberry exports moved past the R1 billion mark for the first time. And then just a fun one, and I picked this up this morning. This is my last minute edit. If you are looking for somebody interesting to go and follow on Twitter, this guy, Trung T. Fan, he talks a lot about investment markets, but he talks about this Dutch company, and you can actually buy these shares on Easy Equities. It's a company called ASML, and they believe it's the most important company in the world at the moment because there is a global chip shortage. And it's a Dutch company, $220 billion a year, and they make machines that make the semiconductors, which is obviously part of the chip manufacturing process. Each machine costs $150 million, and access to them is a huge geopolitical flashpoint at the moment. So those are a couple of freaky economic facts that I managed to discover over the last 24 hours. If there are, I'll try and post a few more onto the group as well, but I thought that was quite interesting. I am cognizant of time. Anybody got any last minute thoughts or comments before we wrap up for today? Cool, deadly silence. Yeah, so Paula makes the point, if you are interested in investing in blueberry trees, you can get them on the Fed Group app. They are good fun for, if you're looking for kind of social impact and environmental impact projects. You can invest in lettuces, macadamia nuts, moringa trees, solar panels, beehives, etc., and make an investment return on it. So if you go and look at the Fed Group app, I think we've mentioned it a couple of times on these presentations. They are something a little bit different, and you can make a bit of money out of it while doing a bit of environmental good. With that in mind, everybody have a good weekend, and we shall chat on Monday. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Happy Friday. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Cheers.